Hello, it's Krista here again today. Howdy. And I'm going to probably make a lot of these videos about narcissism right now, because that's really what I've been intensely studying about. You know, every day I watch hours of videos about what narcissism is and why they are the way they are, and how why we are the way that we are as victims. I do this because I think a lot of people need to know this. I will refer to women a lot in these because I'm a woman, and I will tell about what I've been through, because it was just so atrocious. But also it was like basically with everybody around, plus my family and my relationships and even children and friends and stuff, just put beneath like the blanket, so to speak, and not really talked about, and not understood at all. Because therefore we wouldn't be victims anymore now, would we? We would be survivors and thrivers. So, and also I do a lot of book reading about narcissism as well, and being a victim. Although in one of the videos that I listened to, I forget her name, but she's kind of loud, but she's really cool. She's kind of a hippie chick. And she's a psychologist, and she's so wonderfully gifted at speaking and, you know, fluently about narcissism and Q&A questions. I know I'm a little tired because I went on a long drive yesterday to Ohio with my taxi service, so I'm just going to try to do this the best that I can and try to be clear. You know, I'm really starting to get more clear and focused again because my thyroid medicine changed. Not too much about me though, although again, you know, it does really come down to us as individuals. In the end, I really think that's true, most important about us, because without learning about us, that's kind of how we forget about ourselves and put ourselves in the background and stay victims. You know, I think a lot of reasons that's why narcissists are all about me, because they're just so lost and confused in their own miseries and not able to come out of the horrible pain that they most likely are not able to get help for themselves at all in their lifetimes. Because if they were to delve into themselves like we have to delve into ourselves for the healing process to really occur, and the recovery, they would have to face so much tremendous, horrific pain within themselves that I just don't think that they can basically even fathom doing that. It's too hard for them. And also, a lot of times I do believe that it's brain deficiencies too, that they turn out like that. I know, you know, that, and also the horribly abusive way that they were treated as children by at least one of their parents were most likely narcissistic, sociopath, psychopath, or with a cluster B, like borderline, or possibly just not able, the parents were not able to give them enough emotional validation. In a lot of these cases, emotions were parents were just not able to give any kind of emotion. They were just numb themselves, and were not able to teach their children how to have any emotions at all, and were often punished when they did, because that would make the narcissist not the most important one. And to the narcissist, that is what they thrive on, is to be more superior to everyone else. That's what gives them their feel good. If they don't have that feel good, then they feel bad, and they can't have that because they're so miserable anyway. So anyway, but I'm going to go back to me, which we do come back to ourselves. I read a whole book yesterday on Deepak Chopra audiobook while I was out driving, and learned a lot more about mindfulness, and the addictions. He talked a lot about addictions yesterday, how we can become addicted to anything, and further ourselves away from knowing and fixing things about ourselves and our past in order to go forth in life at a much happier level and growth type level, where we can further ourselves in just higher ways of being and learn at faster levels and become a healthier people on the inside and outside, and that's what I try to strive for. And when I learn more about it every time, basically with a lot of book reading, I do a lot of Deepak Wayne Dyer and different things, and because they talk about spirit as well, and that is so important too with our growth as human beings. Without that, I don't think that we will go far at all, learning more about our higher selves and being able to trust our intuitions and being able to trust who is not going to further our growth and who is. And I have to say that with the cluster B type of people, there is no growth. They keep us from growing, like at a very even average normal level. I mean, never mind going forth on a higher level, but just on even a normal level, they will not let you have that growth. They will stop you, at an average level of even an average amount of happiness. They cannot have you do that, because being, especially like in a relationship where they have to have you for that supply, and they're going to have all that control over you. You cannot have any kind of freedom or anything, because they will not let you even think for yourself, or grow, or have God in your life, or any of those things, because psychologically they just rape you. These are not people to mess with. They're deadly, they're nasty, they're scary. And once you can unblock your fear of that more and more by understanding them, it can start taking away some of their monster intimidation, which they, will really play on to keep you in fear. And just to, when you can lose some of that fear of them is really when you can start stepping forth and learning on boundaries and things, and how to say no to these people, so these people can fall away more in your life, and you can go on to master further higher growth levels, and that can really be endearing to your life, and really just thrust it forth in a way that you really begin to enjoy and love life, and you can be more in bliss, and not in like an addictive way that does not last for very long. In like say, for instance, Deepak was talking about how, okay, say we're trying to find our happiness, and we don't really know how to attain that happiness. And so for a lot of us, we look for it in maybe like a weekend of maybe going to see a movie, and treating ourselves to a really nice expensive restaurant, or using that drug of choice just even over a weekend, or all that case of beer or whatever, getting into that weed or whatever, and just participating in short ways of gaining happiness for just a very short amount of time, that is not real happiness. It's just temporary. It's just like a temporary fix, really. So when you are going to be attaining more happiness, you have to understand that happiness is more than just, getting a pizza and throwing a party or something. Although I think those times can be needed, especially when we are rewarding ourselves for certain things, when we are attaining more achievements, even the baby steps, to reward ourselves. But just not become dependent on those things for our happiness, because, it just does not last. So I think one of my big steps is really letting go of toxic family members. And, if one of your family members is a cluster B and they always are constantly calling you, or demanding that you give them more time than what the time that you are getting for yourself, for your own life, so you can satisfy and fulfill your own needs, instead of just circling around these people and letting them, control every aspect about you, even if it's like more secretly done or not. And it's hard to be able to confront these people because it doesn't really work. The only thing that I find best for myself is just basically, you can't come at them like, well, you're always trying to control my life and I don't want that anymore, because that just creates more of a fight, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to pull yourself away from this family unit or whatever that is taking up all of your time and energy. That even can come to like your work and things too, which I am working on right now, because again, my taxi job can be so demanding, that we have to make that time for ourselves, make sure that we have adequate enough time for ourselves to, like, for me, it's going back to school again a little bit and furthering my education a little bit online, doing my homework assignments, making sure that we have the time and energy to give that attention so we can further ourselves and our own fulfillment, satisfaction, dreams, and happiness. And a lot of times that takes a lot of time. I look at myself and I see that, it took me a year and a half to finally not really have not want, like, or desire my narcissistic ex to be in my life anymore. And, but that's, with a lot of support and a lot of determination, because I think sometimes we have to get to that point where we can no longer tolerate it. I mean, it's just killing us. It's deadening us. Our bodies can't handle it. Our minds can't handle it anymore. Psychologically, it's making us insane, or it's really just putting us it's just breaking our hearts or whatever, and it's just a constant hell on earth that you get up every day. And for me, it's just like that 9 Inch Nails song, like, every day is exactly the same. There is no pleasure. There is no pain. Every day is exactly the same. When you live with someone like that, or you live under someone's rules, or are constantly running around doing other people's bidding or whatever, it can really be like that, no matter if it's your career or whatever, And it's amazing how that can really just bring you down so low, but it does. One thing that I find that I had to do at first with my own family was when they would call me and need me to do this and that or whatever, you know, I just kind of started, you have to kind of start saying on the phone or whatever, you know, mom or dad or, you know, whoever, maybe a relationship that you're, a toxic relationship that you're letting go of or whatever. You just have to kind of start being like, well, you know what, I'm really busy today. It might have to be another time. And just, it can be as simple as that, just to try to get by these people, you know, because you're not giving an argument, and that really helps. It really helps not to create a conflict, because that's so easily they know how to manipulate and puppet around arguments really well, so you don't really want to do that. It creates more peace for everyone, and you know, just kind of letting them go, and it's not going to hurt them in the way that you think. Like, they might not understand it. It might kind of hurt them at first. They might not understand it. But in the long run, they have to find something else to do. And usually it will benefit them as well. I kind of see it like that, because, you know, they can find something else that, instead of putting all the focus on another human being, they might have to go find somebody else to do that too, or just find something else to do. And that's not all bad, because we're all growing in our own ways. Even if you are a nasty narcissist or toxic person, we all are in this life to learn and to grow. So, you know, don't try to let that guilt, because, you know, when you're a victim, you do feel such strong levels of guilt that you're not giving certain people enough time and attention. But you do have to remember that you can't let them eat it all up. It's just not healthy. It's just not healthy. Yeah. So, you know, yesterday after the Deepak book, because I tried to balance out, kind of like read kind of a spiritual mindfulness type of book for my CPTSD and ways of calming down and PTSD when you've been through heavy traumatic things in your life, or, you know, relationships and stuff, you're going to be left with high levels of that PTSD or CPTSD, which I have videos on that, that you're going to have to learn to kind of stay in more of a meditational prayer type of mode, or just like a more relaxed type of mode, which we're all learning to do, because, you know, this day and age, we've worked so hard to get to the point where we are. Everybody, you know, and now more technical robots and things are coming out, and we have more time to just kind of relax. Even in the world of jobs, it's changing for everybody, and we're all just kind of learning how to relax right now. We're coming back to ourselves and asking ourselves, who are we? Where do we come from? And why? Why are we this way? And how can we become better, you know, for our own growth? And those are just basic things that everybody's going through right now. You know, we are all learning at our own level, so just, you know, let's keep forgiving ourselves and keep accepting ourselves. And I'm going to be popping these videos on because some of us come from such a detrimental place. I feel that in my own. But, you know, we can give so much healing to other people, even our own children, where we can learn to forgive ourselves for being that addict, or not having enough time, or hurting other people in our past where we never meant to. We can go back, we can make amends with certain people in our life, and we can heal. We can heal. Like, you know, basically the world is like a ripple in the pond that goes out and it just ripples the whole world. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Right now, I just started listening to one of the coach videos kept saying over and over again in her videos how important it was to learn about self-esteem, get a self-esteem books. So right now I'm reading the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem and getting so much from that. You know, and I just would love to teach and give advice on everything that I know and I'm learning on here to all of you, because you do need to learn those things. Even though you can grow and heal out of these toxic relationships, you're still left with, okay, I never learned the things that maybe more loving and nurturing families had. And so you do have to learn those things. And I think one of those is self-esteem, you know, learning self-esteem. And that just will put more of a smile on my face, and I know a lot of other faces. So thank you for listening today of my chatter, and God bless. Have a beautiful one. And yes, I have a lot of tattoos.